What's up, everybody? My name is Jason, and welcome to Paul Pelosi, the loss of your freedom. Happy Halloween to you. It's October the 31st, 2022. Please do me a huge favor and subscribe to this channel, and make sure you join us at trysmallbiz.com so you can advertise your company today. That's trysmallbiz.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me quickly state right out of the gate that this video has absolutely nothing to do with the gay and lesbian community, of which I am in full support. In fact, it has nothing to do with politics and everything to do with the loss of your personal freedom. So in today's video, I'm going to quickly cover the facts of the Pelosi case, a breaking story where big tech just got caught creating special portals to censor information related to the C word and conservative voices like cat turd. Make sure you follow them. And before the end of this video is over, I am going to walk you through what is taking place abroad in a foreign country that, if it doesn't scare you to death, then I have not done my job. So ladies and gentlemen, pull up a chair, grab a cup of coffee, ice cold beer, glass of wine. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're following me on Twitter, at TrySmallBiz, username SmallBiz, I encourage you to do so. You've noticed that I have taken a bit of a turn, as some of you might say, for the worse. No, this is the post-EIDL world that we live in. I personally tweet straight from the heart 10 or 15 times a day. I share or retweet an additional 25 or 30 posts that align with my values, because here's the deal. I have made the decision as a 52-year-old single man who's not married, and I do not have the good fortune of having children, although I love kids and they love me, that I'm not going down in flames without a fucking fight. Because this country that I love, along with many of you, is going through a bit of a purge. There is a battle, if you will, between good and evil. It's not just about the far left versus the right. No, this is about the hidden hand, the deep state, the Wizard of Oz, and the minions, including the fake news that have been tricking us, lying to us for centuries. And it's now quite possibly starting to come to an end because of gentlemen, and this is just a small list of guys like Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, Kanye, or Ye, as he likes to call himself, and of course the great Elon Musk, who just took over Twitter a few days ago, and my oh my, has cat shit hit the fan. And by the way, it's cat turd. He's got a white profile picture with glasses, puts out some amazing stuff. Follow him and tell him that I sent you. He's about to hit 1 million strong. And speaking of cat turd, he's added 100,000 followers, ladies and gentlemen, in the last 3 days. It's taken him almost 4 years to get to 900,000, and he's going to hit 1 million this week. Somebody explain to me in the comments, how is it possible that all of a sudden all these conservative, if you want to call them that, profiles are just blowing up out of nowhere? Ask yourself this question. How much of what we've been seeing in the past several years is even true? How much of what we read and what we scroll through is true? What if everything or almost everything is not a lie, but the truth is being withheld? Just look at all these pages that are exploding as a result of the takeover since Elon Musk showed up just 72 hours ago. You have to ask yourself, has what we've been witnessing over the last several years been even a fraction of the truth? Or outside of the far east and west coast of this country, most of us want to come together in the middle. We want to compromise like a business, like a family. It's not all or none. We don't say, Joey, you're going to eat tonight and your 3 sisters are shit out of luck. No, we put all the food in the middle of the table and we divide it up evenly, fairly, so that everybody goes to sleep with a full belly at night. But that's not what we've been watching for the last several years on social media and in the fake news. But the tide might, and I emphasize the word might, be changing. So let's examine the facts. Where's the surveillance video? Do you know there's over 20 cameras? You can see it from the helicopter photos from above. There's 25 or 30 cameras on that house. Where's the surveillance video? The great Laura Logan, one of the most respected international correspondents that still can call herself a journalist in the entire world, is telling us that there were not 1 but 2 Secret Service divisions on site, or supposed to be, watching that fucking house. Where were they? Did somebody tell him to leave? Were they complicit in the allowing of one or two gentlemen, including the attacker, to get in the house? Where the hell was the Secret Service? Where's the surveillance video? The 911 call that Paul supposedly made from the bathroom. Where's that tape? All we hear in the news as the lights go out in Atlanta is the dispatcher talking to the cops. And what does she say? She says that the gentleman in the bathroom, Paul, says that David, the attacker, is a friend. And there was a third person in the initial report that let the cops in the door. Who's the third person? We never got an answer to that. And now the fake news is trying to say that there was no third person. And get this, that David, according to the dispatcher who said he was a friend, he's not really a friend. So where is Paul Pelosi's tape? If we call 911 or any of those other shows that you watch, they always have the person that was calling 911 in a panic in the recording. How come we can't hear what Paul said? Or did he even say anything? The point of this whole thing, and I could go on and on and on and on and on about reports coming out that bartenders at local gay bars have said Paul Pelosi has frequented those joints in the past, even with the attacker, which might explain why he called him a friend in the 911 fucking call. But all you really need to know in terms of proof is listen to the dead silence. Total silence. The initial, it had to be some red hat wearing mega MAGA Republican who has supported Trump. Now it turns out to be someone way on the other side of the fence that had all sorts of flags, and I don't need to mention what they were, and all sorts of hateful content on social media. And suddenly, now that the Rock Hudson facts begin to come out, not a peep, not a word. All they'll say is, well, what you heard in the 911 call is not the facts. There was no third person. Ask yourself this, and then I'll get on with the rest of the show. It was 45 fucking degrees in San Francisco the night of the attack. According to the FBI, who went to the attacker's house, and you can see photos on social media of it, it was many, many miles away from where Paul lives. Who runs miles across town in their underwear when it's 45 degrees out, wearing nothing but underwear, armed with what do they call them? Ties and a hammer. And the cops show up at the door, and the two men are dueling in their underwear. As I said yesterday, any sane person in their right mind wishes Paul a speedy recovery. But let's get real. The man has decades of law-breaking, reckless behavior. Him and Crazy Nancy have been illegally insider trading for 40 years. She showed up in Washington making $35,000 a year as an assistant to a councilman, and she's now worth over $100 million when members of the House and Senate up until recently never made more than $150 grand. She never loses. To my knowledge, and I've been in the markets for 30 years, as you guys know, follow me on Twitter at Try Small Biz, she's never lost a trade. She got into weed last month, WEED, right before the news came out that the law was going to change. She more than doubled her money in 4 days. She got out of the NVIDIA options before a 45% plunge when they changed the rules over in China related to semiconductor companies. I have never seen Paul or Crazy Nancy ever make a mistake or be wrong on a trade. You throw in the Porsche 911. Who was the passenger? Was it David? Was it another woman? And by the way, did you know that Nancy spends the vast majority of her time in her apartment in Washington, D.C., even when Congress, like now, is on break? Maybe it's because she knows what her husband's been up to for the past 40 years. You can't add it all up. The weather, the lack of 911 and security surveillance, where the hell was the Secret Service, the changing of the stories, multiple reports from bartenders all over town that said he would frequent gay bars and in some cases even show up with David, who was called a friend. But you guys let me know. Am I way out of bounds here? Should I just leave this story alone? Or is it time that all of us, especially moi, stand up for what is right in this country? I don't give a shit, as I said the other day, if I lose half of my premium members. I've gotten so lean and mean, being debt-free, no truck payments. You've heard me tell the story. I could lose half my business tomorrow and I'll still survive trading the stock market. And by the way, we have another 91 to go in terms of premium members until we hit 500. So if you got $1 a day, go to trysmallbiz.com and hit the red upgrade to premium button. All right, there's a breaking story, and then stick around for something that's going on in China that will turn your stomach at the least. Benny Johnson reports that, remember when Jen Psaki, when we actually had a decent press secretary, unlike the one we have now, and I'm all about diversity, but total train wreck, kind of aligns with the current president of the United States. She said the quiet period out loud last year and admitted to, quote, flagging and problematic posts that big tech was censoring. Well, it turns out that big tech platforms like Facebook, whose stock is down 75%, and maybe for good reasons, just got caught because they were colluding with the Biden administration through special portals that took down, quote, wrong content. Again, I ask of you, ladies and gentlemen, in the comments below, what if we've been lied to? Set aside your politics, and I realize my camera angle might be a little off. Looks like the top of my head because I lowered the camera, is cut off. I'm not doing this video again. So if it looks a little weird, now you know. Ask yourself, I'll scooch down. What if we've been lied to? What if what we think is true, regardless of political party, is nothing but a fucking lie? It's the few and their minions in the fake news trying to control the many. We now have 8 billion people, and I'll now transition to what's going on in China. We have 8 billion people in this world, 330 million plus in this country. But if you look at the top of the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, I don't need to mention the name, I'm already being shadow banned as it is. You got no more than a couple, maybe 3 or 4 major bloodlines and 10 to 15,000 that filter on down through Soros, Gates, etc., to the FBI, the CIA, the fake news. And they've got one story they want to tell. Well, what if it's all a fucking lie? Like Andrew Tate, who got wiped clean of the internet, who started to come out and say, hey, I've been flying private for the last 2 years. We don't have any masks. I go to these underground clubs. There's no mask. Remember when Gavin got busted at the French Laundry, sitting next to the guy from the Cleveland Clinic, supposedly one of the most respected hospitals in the entire world? Nobody had a mask. That was in the middle of the pandemic. Boris Johnson throwing back the red wine on Memorial Day of 2020, right in the beginning of when we all thought, myself included, that we were going down in flames, that the end was near. What if it's all been a fucking lie? A lie designed to tear us apart, regardless of who we vote for, or who we're sleeping with, or what color our skin is, so that the few at the top and the minions that carry out the orders can keep the rest of us in line. Which brings me, and I'll try to pin this in the top comment. You may have seen me share the video, horrifying, from China. They have a system over there now called a social credit system. And it's basically rules that if you disobey the state, the CCP, you say something bad about President Xi, etc., you're going to get penalized. You lose points. So there's a scary video, and it's like something out of a sci-fi horror flick, with this gigantic drone flying down the middle of a major interstate at an intersection. And it's got a 15-foot wide QRL. It's escaping me. You know, the code. I'm in the heat of the moment, but you know what I'm talking about. And you have these people that are forced to stick their cell phone outside the door in their car and scan the code. And if your social score has gone down, your phone starts beeping, and I believe the alert color was orange. It's either orange or red. And you know what happens? That means that you have been a bad girl or a bad boy, and they cut off some or all of your benefits. Same thing happens when you go to the airport in China or the grocery store. They had another video that I shared on there of a guy going to a grocery store. You have to scan your QR code, that's what it is, excuse me, into the grocery store entry. And if you've been a bad boy, you can't get into the fucking store. You may have also seen the horrific videos of people doing swan dives out the window in all of these newly erected high-rises in the cities that they're building over in China. That's because the government controls the lock on the outside of the door. And you're starting to see right here in the United States, BlackRock, which is closely aligned with the Feds, one of the largest hedge funds in the world, talking about the renter's economy. And they're buying up houses and apartment buildings like crazy. Why? They want to control all the real estate, all the cars. You're going to own nothing in the next 10 years. This whole Project 2030, nothing is going to be owned by you. If they get their way, they're going to control the locks on the car, the boat, the motorcycle, your house, your apartment. You will own nothing. Everything will be controlled by the state or institutions like Berkshire, which is also buying, I know Warren Buffett, he's also part of the problem, buying up along with BlackRock and others, all these apartment buildings so that you will control nothing. In other words, you will obey whether we scan QR codes or we've got chips in our head or whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen. If we don't push back right now and fucking hard, whether it's me or some of you or all of us, our country is going to go to shit. We are going to have a guaranteed living wage. We're going to be told to stay inside, wear a mask, stand 6 feet apart, and shut the hell up. And if you do anything like I'm doing in this video right now, which will be totally illegal within the next 5 or 10 years if we don't do something now, you're going to be penalized. That's why I've created Small Biz. That's why I'm so passionate about what I do. I'm up at 4 o'clock every fucking day tweeting about news of the stock market, and it don't end until 1 o'clock in the morning. So if you're wondering, why the hell would I give this guy $1 a day? And you can call me, by the way, 866-2-SMALL-BIZ. It takes me 24 hours to call back because I'm on the phone for 2 hours a day. And by the way, some of you don't have your voicemail set up. I've called everyone back. So if we haven't had the pleasure of speaking, please call me back and or call back and set up your damn voicemail so I can call you back. But the reason, in closing, and thank you very much for sticking with what's probably a difficult video, given the fact that I cut my head off and I've been all over the map. We need a place, a safe place, a sanctuary to buy, sell, trade, barter, connect, both online and soon to be off. Because if shit hits the fan and what's going on in China starts making its way over here, look at PayPal. Right? They said $2,500 fine for misinformation. We had a short-term outrage. They said, whoops, it was a mistake, a problem with communication. They took it away, and now they put it back as of Friday. That was a test of the social credit system. The stock did not go down. The public did not push back hard enough. And they instituted the beginning of the social credit system where you will not have access to your property, your money, etc. unless you play by the fucking rules. My question in closing is, are we going to stand here and take it? Better yet, are we going to bend over without any lube and say, go ahead and give it to me? Give it to me. I don't want any freedom. I don't want to get up and do what I love with who I love when I love to do it. The problem we have in this country is there's probably 50% of our population that say, oh, you want to send me a guaranteed living wage and I can and play video games all day? Done. I won't even leave the house. I can order it, Uber Eats. They'll just deliver whatever I want, including a robotic prostitute. Yeah, if I play by it's coming. I play by the rules. I won't, I promise. And by the way, if you think I'm joking, just go spend a few hours on the internet or listen to what one of the 4 guys have been talking about. Until next time, I hope I've educated and maybe even entertained you. Always remember that I love you, and thanks for watching.